Welcome to episode 5 of the Railroads Online track building tutorial. And today we're going to build the 1% curve, very long 1% curve that goes down around through these trees to the sawmill. And to start off with, we're going to lay out some groundwork, and we're going to put down full length. And we'll actually split it here. So we'll put it in at 2 lanes wide to give us lots of room, just in case we want to run off it's going to run off the edge. And we're using these big long single segment pieces again to avoid any z-randomization in the groundworks. The z-randomization is not so much of a problem when you are on level ground. It's only sort of making bumpy track. Z-randomization becomes an issue when you're on a grade, and you can get a variation of up to about half a degree. And half a degree can be the difference between your train making it and not making it up the grade. So on a grade, it is vitally important to mitigate the z-randomization. The z-randomization is a good thing in finished groundworks because it will stop any Z fighting, and you can see the Z fighting happening there between the two layers as I put them down. Won't hurt the game, it just looks terrible. And if you put them in the finished groundworks, that's where it looks terrible. But if you've got the Z randomization in the finished groundworks, that removes any chance you get of having the fighting between the textures on the different pieces, because the textures will be at a different height. We'll continue to build down here and around the corner. And hopefully I've guesstimated and got this in about the right position of where it needs to be, where the corner's going to go. And you can kind of see there's a flat area in the terrain where they've expected that you're going to build track at. They've kept it all nice and flat and level for you. There's going to be a tighter corner here than the 1%, the 1 degree that we're doing, instead of putting in a big long straight, because straights are kind of boring and it's more interesting to go around a curve. Okay, and while we're down here, we will take a sample from the end and we'll run off out into the trees, somewhere where we're not going to see it, and we'll put another tiny little sample piece of groundworks. Oh, I need to delete groundworks. That way, if we ever need to do any editing down here, we've got a sample height of where the track was laid at. And now it's run all the way back to the start so that we can build the track on top of it. And hopefully the groundworks is somewhere near where it needs to be able to build the track over the top of it without stopping the spline. But if we have to stop the spline, that's not a problem. You can start again without losing your curve. Pretty much like we did in episode 4, where I removed the segment out of the middle of the curve and then overlapped the segments before and after the piece we needed to replace, and that made the piece we put in the middle conform to the curve again. Yes, this is a really long trip if you've got to run. Doesn't seem so long when you're in a locomotive. Okay, let's place down some track. And 7 tie spacings. Straight to start off with. And I reckon about here we start to move it in a degree. It should get around the corner. And this is the quickest building. Once you get out into the open and you're not building in yards, it becomes the... and there we go, look at that, we can't place this piece down. So what we do is we end the spline, remove the last segment of track because the last segment of track does not comply to the spline, grab a piece of groundwork and put it in the middle. Now it's a good idea to mark the spot where you've got the overlap track because sometimes it's hard to see where the overlaps are. It makes it a little bit easier to come back and remove them later. And then we'll put in our 1%, continue to build. And you can see there that there's no wobbles in the track where we've had to resume building. And it looks like we're pretty close on target. And we turn around and look back, see how it looks so much better than having a big, long, boring straight. And it will make absolutely no difference to the performance of the train if it's only a slight little curve like this. And we're nearly ready to straighten back out the straight track for this last little bit of the... up to the slightly tighter corner back the other way. Yeah, more. Where's it going to point to now? There. We'll do one more and then we'll come straight again, I think. No, another one. Doesn't turn the track much when you're only on 1%. Well, let's have a look. Where's it going to build to now? Yeah, no, that looks good now. So we'll switch back to 0% and we're still keeping it that 7 tie spacing. That's the alarm telling me that my 10 minutes are up. We're nearly there. Okay, this is going to need to be a slightly tighter corner than what we just put in to get back round to the end. We might start it here. We'll start with a 1 and we'll just count up 1 every time we go for a new segment. And that will have it very gently creep around the corner until we pointed the direction we want to go. So we're up to 4. Let's go to 5. And I think 5 will get me around the corner. So we'll put all the rest in 5. And where's the sawmill? Can we see the sawmill stacks? They're over there. So we'll keep building with 5 for the moment. And where are they now? Now I think we need to start backing out of it. So 1 more 5. And then we'll back out of it with a 4. And a 3. And a 2. And a 1. Oh, we've gone past the 7. There it is. No, the 0. And back to straight track again. We're actually aiming for the pond. So hopefully the pond is in this general direction. We may need to come back and revise this curve later. Or we can always put in another very shallow curve instead of having a straight here. But we need to have some straights along here so that we can get, in the spline there, so that we can get a switch to head down that direction, which heads to the smelter. And now all that's left to do is to run back and delete all of the temporary groundworks we put down. And that one little double up of track where we had to stop and fix it up. One piece will be corded and it will be a very close cord to the curve, so it'll be hard to pick. And generally if you go to the inside of the curve and place it on the inside of the rail, or the outside of the rail, it's the inside of the curve outside of the inside rail, you can see which track it is that needs to be removed. And yes, that's made a very nice, smooth, very long curve. And it's all by having the same segment length each time you place down a segment. And the piece we need to delete will be here beside the marker we put in. So we'll change over to rails. Now if we look down at we'll see that there is actually 2 tracks there, and you can just see the line there. So we want to come over to this side and delete that one. And that was the correct one. And we'll delete our marker that we put on the side. And finally, that piece, and we can now also get rid of the cross track off the end. We are finished with the cross track. And the last step is to build along here with, and it's all constant, so we can pick a constant. And we need to estimate where center is, and that's pretty close. And we won't put it on the first segment. We'll actually go to the second because the first segment is short because it was a cross track. So we'll go to the second segment, which gives us a better length. And I will finish the rest of this up off camera, and it'll be all put in by the time we get to the next episode. Thanks for watching, and in the next episode we will start to place track around the sawmill at the unloading at the pond. Bye bye.